This is Amateur Logic, episode 183, for July 14th, 2023. Amateur Logic is brought to you by Icom. From base stations to portable models, Icom has the best radio for working your favorite bands this summer. Whether outside enjoying sunny skies or inside by the AC, stay cool with Icom. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another action-packed episode of Amateur Logic. I'm George.
I'm Tommy.
I'm Emil.
And I'm Mike.
And, wow, we've got a show lined up tonight. You know, there's been a lot going on since we were last here.
That is true.
Field Day, for one thing, although it's in the past now, we haven't shown the footage yet. We've got the evidence all gathered, ready to present tonight.
Yeah.
Plus,
all of our roughing it.
Yep. Mike's got a review on a antenna that I have not watched yet, so I don't know if it's a thumbs up or it's a thumbs down at this point. We'll have to see. And we've got
Oh boy, it's a non-rated video.
It's kind of like right now. It's
not yet rated.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we've also got a video here of Friedrichshafen from our friend Terry. 2E0IPK, is that right?
That's Terry.
All right.
He's in the chat room tonight.
Yep, he's over in the chat room, and we appreciate him getting that together. I haven't watched that one either, so I'll be right there with everyone in the audience tonight on these.
We'll be glued to the monitor.
So let's go around the horn real quick, see what's going on. Tommy, what's going on?
Recovering from the field day sunburn, for one thing. I went on vacation since I've seen you last. Went over to Terry's part of the world, and Nigel, over there to England for a week or so. My son had a good time.
Did you eat any unedible food while you were there?
No, Nigel tried to turn me on to the pickled eel or something, jellied eel, but I kind of had to pass on that. He was joking about it.
Yeah.
Luckily, because I wasn't going to eat it anyway.
Well, okay. Yeah, I saw your pictures you had posted around on social media. Looked like y'all had a good time.
Yeah, it was a blast. We had a great time.
I've never been out of the country. There's a restraining order, that won't.
I was going to ask, is that by choice or is there a reason for that?
You went to country in New Orleans before?
Well, I have been there a few times, They left the gap open and I got through. But anyway.
Squeeze through the bars.
Here, I've just been busy. A lot of heat still going on around here. The transmitters don't like the heat. Although the 100 kilowatt generator burnt up about a month ago, the engine has been replaced on and it was reinstalled this week. So, there's that. It's not cheap. It's not cheap, Emil. What's been going on in your country?
Well, in the country of New Orleans, after me and Glenn survived the field day like you did, I did something like Tommy was mentioning, except I stayed in the country. Well, I left the country of New Orleans and went over to Bay St. Louis, literally in Bay St. Louis, in the water there. We spent the day out on the boats and did some swamp tours and all kind of staycation version things. So we had a great time. However, it's hot and I'm burnt. I'm already starting to peel, so I'm recovering.
Okay. Yeah, I went through all of that back at Dayton, so all the peeling and stuff there. No swamp monsters. So.
I got burned pretty bad field day on top of that. Well, we'll probably talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mike, Canada looks much more tropical than I envisioned. How are things up there?
Well, I guess it's about as tropical as it gets up here. Although it's been, I guess I'm going to say maybe a little unseasonably cool. We've been getting a lot of rain and in the form of torrential downpours. It'll just downpour for an hour or two. It's kind of like being in the islands where it'll just downpour for about an hour and the clouds will clear up. And about an hour later, it's hard to even tell that there's been any rain. I don't know if you have the slide handy there, but it talks about the changing face of open source hardware. And it's quite a lengthy read, but it's a well worth the read. And it talks about how a lot of these companies that started out as open source are now switching to closed source. Some of them aren't living up to their agreements with the open source agreements, in the sense that it looks like they're trying to protect their intellectual property by not sharing things like their source code and so forth, and their some of their PCB layout designs. But if you get a chance, head over to the Adafruit blog, and you'll find the whole article on there. It's quite worth the read, and I hope it's not a sign of the times or a sign of the things to come, because this could be a game changer for the worse, I'm afraid.
Well, I know there's been a number of open source projects that have been sold in the last few years. Audacity, for one.
MySQL.
Yep, looks like there's a cog missing out of the wheel. This is from the W5AXC field day this year.
We're putting up the cobweb antenna like we normally use, but we got it up pretty high this time, as you can tell, and we're going to try to get up a little bit higher. I got pretty sunburned from that deal right there, so
yeah. Well,
anyway,
it's a good thing you didn't get stung.
Yeah.
Because
nobody told me we were hitting the tree up there when we were trying to raise it up either. If you notice, the tree's moving.
Yeah, well, I was trying to grab the ropes, to kind of hold it from falling over, which worked okay on the way up, not so good on the way down.
It didn't work too good on the way down. We had a little bit of a catastrophe on the way down.
Yeah.
Nothing we couldn't recover from, but it was pretty tough. How do you like that tent, too? That's a pretty dang nice tent.
That is. That's better than the old cloth tents we've been using.
Yeah.
That's the MFJ cobweb and an MFJ 43-foot fiberglass mast and an MFJ giant tripod.
How long is the mast?
43 feet.
So now it's 42 and a half?
Yes.
So
I think it roughly.
We lost about 6 inches of it on the way down, so.
Yeah.
I was having a red-green flashback when I was watching that. The way you kind of sped up some of the video, it reminded me of some of the red-green episodes where it was red-green, and I think his nephew that would be doing a project, and something would go awry.
Yeah. We talked about it while Tommy was editing it, and we decided it'd just be too painful to watch it in real time.
Yeah, it would have been long. That was sped up 4 times, I think. Yeah, obviously it took a lot longer than that, but we didn't get the drone up in the air, the camera set up in time to get all of it.
Awfully stable drone footage there. It looked like the wind was blowing pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Speaking of drone footage, we've got some more, because that's not the only antenna that we had.
This is where I was trying out my slingshot skills. My slingshot skills I need to work on those. They leave a little bit to be desired. I don't know. I did bring the fishing pole. George reminded me to bring the fishing pole, so I brought a big surf rod we use when we go surf fishing up in Virginia. But couldn't get the weight. It was, I think it was a 1/4 ounce weight he had, but it wasn't heavy enough to get over the tree.
No.
And then I popped the leather strap that you put the ammunition in, or whatever you would call it. So that broke. So we had to go for a second method to try to get it over. So I busted out my fishing pole and did it the old-fashioned way.
First
Casted
time.
it right over. Bullseye.
Yep. Now, there was a weight stuck in that tree when we left, but I was back up there the weekend afterwards,
Yeah.
and I found it on the ground.
Oh, did you? The
Yeah.
wind must have shook it out or something.
Yep.
Cool. So it went up first try, and then we went to the other side for the other end of the antenna and casted it across the limb this time because the brush was too thick to go straight into the woods. I didn't want to go in there after it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got that one first try too. So my champion record from junior high school casting contest we had at field day one time was still intact.
Yeah, you anglers need to pay attention to those moves right there. He almost started out at a gallop on that first one there, but no, he stopped.
No, I didn't do a Happy Gilmore move with it.
Okay.
But it did work pretty well. It actually worked very well.
It
better
worked
than the slingshot.
Much better than the slingshot. See, if we had known that, 15 years ago, that you was a cast master there, we could have saved a lot of time.
That's funny. I actually did win the first place. We lived in Virginia in junior high school, and we went to Jamestown for a field day, and they set up a thing you're supposed to cast through a target, and I nailed it every time. And anyway,
Wow.
I got first place on that. I must still have it.
Nice.
I couldn't help but notice that your son Thomas was nowhere to be found.
No,
No.
he had his helmet and he ran.
If you noticed, I managed to stay behind him during all these slingshot and rod episodes as well.
I noticed.
Yep.
That's not a bad move for you.
Not a bad move. Well,
It was pretty fun, though.
yeah. Here is my field day setup that I operated with this year. I'm using the same rig that I've used for several years, the Icom IC7000. I like these rigs so much, I got two of them. They're great. They do everything I need to do. All bands, all modes. Doesn't have D-Star, but no biggie because I only use them for HF. The only thing it doesn't have that I really would like to have is a spectrum scope. They weren't putting them in radios when this was designed, so in addition to the radio, I'm using an SDR Play RSP Duo right here, little SDR receiver that I've had for a number of years. Those things are really neat. And I'm running the SDR Uno software. You can see we're looking at 20 meters and the band is hopping. If I was just looking at the radio alone, I wouldn't know the band was hopping without spinning the knob. So here I can see signals and decide, what I might want to try there. You can see where the activity is, so you don't waste any time moving around. Just find one, click on it, use the mouse wheel to adjust it, and boy, it's crowded today. These two are connected with a serial port adapter so that whenever I change the frequency on the radio or on the computer here, they track each other. I'm using the MFJ 1708B SDR transceiver switch. This really works great. I've got one cable that goes to the transceiver, one that goes to the antenna, and then one that goes to my SDR. And there's a control cable that's coming from the control port on the radio here, so whenever I key up, it mutes the receive line going to the SDR Play so it doesn't blow it up, which is a good thing in my book. For the power, I'm running off Tommy's big battery down here. Don't have the cover off of it. I think, what is this, a 50 amp battery, LiPo that he built. I don't know how long ago he built it. Over a year ago. It was in one or two of the AmateurLogic episodes. You can get more details on that. It's pretty economical. I gotta say, I really haven't drained that battery to 50% yet, and I've been going for not 24 hours yet, but a good length of time with it. It's held in there great. I've got another little MFJ 4230 a DMP power supply. That's just running my little SDR switch. That's all it's for. I could run it off the other battery, but it just wasn't convenient. I am running the transceiver, though, off of the battery down here so that, I can use that multiplier with our contacts. I have another laptop over here. This one I got in the last year, and I really wasn't even going to use it because I had all the software installed on this one, which is a few years older, but we're using the N1MM logging software. I already had it on here, so I just updated it to the latest version. Now I have this little switch right here, and you've seen this before. This is a curiously strong receive audio switch. It's nothing more than a double pole, double throw toggle switch. It's got a female plug on top of it, a mini plug to go to a set of headphones, and then it's got two mini plugs. One plugs into the radio, the other plugs into the computer, and I can switch back and forth as to whether I want to listen to the receiver in the radio or listen to the RSP Duo with SDR Uno. I gotta say, experience this time around, I'm listening to the radio, and it's hearing signals good. Every now and then, though, I can switch over to here, and the DSP between these two receivers is different. Sometimes things sound better on the software-defined radio. Sometimes they sound better over here. They're always louder over here. But it's been helpful when signal has got some peculiar interference or something that's just not sounding where I can copy the letters out. I listen over here, and sometimes it's an improvement. I can grab it there. So the two have worked great together. Now, that's just the basic stuff I operate with. A couple of other things that I've got going here, particularly this one, and you've seen this box before if you've watched the show. This is my IC7000 voice keyer. It was originally something else, so it's got a row of 6 buttons on it. I'm only using the first 4. Those are tied to the voice keyer on the IC7000. That's through the microphone jack. I've got a cable that comes out the back of this and plugs into the microphone jack right here. There's also a female socket, so if I want to use a hand mic, I plug it in there and everything's like normal. But you build a resistor network in here between these buttons, and that goes through the mic cable and triggers a radio to play one of 4 voice memories. So I've got in here several different voice memories.
CQ Field A, CQ Field A. This is Whiskey 5 Alpha X-Ray Charlie.
And if someone answers, then I can give them this.
2 Alpha Mike Sierra.
That has saved my voice quite a bit for calling CQ on a frequency to run it. I also have a push-to-talk button on here, so I can key the radio by pushing that. And yes, there's a microphone sitting here, and I do have the monitor turned on, so you heard the squeal right there. But that's been most of my operating, is in addition with this box. But there's some jacks on the side here. Years ago, when I built this, I put a XLR connector on here where I could hook a dynamic mic into it. Like this dynamic mic right here. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound real good with this rig, so I really haven't used that. It sounds good, but it's the EQ is not really tailored right with this radio. I've also got a 1/4-inch jack here for a push-to-talk. I would probably plug in a foot switch on that so I could do hands-free push-to-talk. I wouldn't have to reach up here to hit the button if I'm using an external mic. And new this year, I've added another little mini plug here so that I can plug in a headset. Now this one, I guess I need to do a segment on it. There's a couple of components. There's a resistor on one pin in here, a capacitor on another, because the headset mic, and this is a gaming headset, it requires phantom power, and that's no problem. The radio supplies phantom power. You just need to send it in the right pins. And for that, this was a last-minute addition, so I didn't have time to rush out and buy me a Howl Pro set of headphones. So I just went up to Best Buy and I got a set of HyperX Alpha headphones, or maybe I got that backwards. Anyway, they're gaming headsets. They sound pretty good. They've got a condenser mic on a boom, so you can put that right at your mouth. Put these things on. They do a good job of blocking out outside sound. I specifically bought these because they're a wired microphone set. I can't use USB with this rig. It doesn't have it, and it doesn't have Bluetooth, so I had to have a wired pair, and that's what I've got. So I'll put these on, put the element right up in my mouth, and I got a Vox button here, so I can put it on Vox. I can sit here, hit the CQ button to call for stations. If someone answers, I can just start talking because it's on Vox. And then I can have my hands free to type in their information right here. So it's been a lot better. I don't have to push this. I don't have to push a hand mic. I can just use the headsets here and the Goldtone microphone and Vox. And I think that allowed me to work a lot more context this morning. Just much simpler and quicker to operate like that. So basically that's it. The new station is the old station with a couple of additions to it.
I think you invented diversity audio there, George.
Oh, really?
You could switch between the radio and the SDR.
Well, but it was, you had to do it. It was manual diversity. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, worked out good. There is one thing we wanted to show a moment ago. I used the off-center fed dipole a good bit this time around. We swapped up antennas some, but this is one I use the most. There is a messenger rope or string. It's some of that, that's not parachute cord, but it's some of that cord that you buy at the Hamfest military cord.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to parachute with that stuff. It's pretty thin.
It's pretty
it's
thin.
Strong.
But yeah, I mean, it stretched, probably 130, 40 feet between trees, and it supported that heavy 4-to-1 legal limit balun.
And 135 feet of lamp wire.
Yeah, I think it was 18 gauge zip cord. So I didn't have good feeling that raising it was going to be good without having some way to support the balun. That worked good. Yeah,
Is that what we talked on?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. By hanging the balun that way, and you can see there's a little slack on the actual dipole itself. That worked out good. Otherwise, I would have probably come back with, I don't know, maybe a 70-meter dipole or something by the time it stretched.
Which way is that oriented? Like with the lobes coming off north-south?
The end in the middle there is pointed south.
Yeah,
okay.
Because the shadow of the trees going to the left. And that was in the afternoon.
You had a great, we were on 80 meters, right? You had a great signal down here.
Yeah, and that was, that's the long end of the OCF, pointed south. So yeah, you sounded great here as well. Anyway, it's the first time I've hung a dipole that way, and otherwise probably wouldn't have worked. Probably would have broke the zip cord. So.
And for those of you that are playing the Meals drone footage drinking game, I saw that there's only going to be one more drink, so you'll still be able to drive home fine time the show's over.
Yeah, you're going to have to gulp it.
Yeah, you better make the next one a big one.
Yeah, you're going to make it count. So, we're going to take a quick break. Get a message from Icom. We got a lot more to go. From base stations to portable models, Icom has the best radio for working your favorite bands this summer. Whether outside enjoying sunny skies or inside by the AC, stay cool with Icom. Explore the world of microwave with Icom's new SHF portable, the IC905. This all-mode rig covers 2 meters, 70 centimeters, 1.2 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, 5.6 gigahertz, and with an optional CX-G10 transverter, 10 gigahertz. This transceiver also has a few industry firsts up its belt. It's the first to support the 5 major global bands from VHF to SHF. The first Power over Ethernet powered RF module designed to be at the base of the antenna to eliminate signal loss, and the first to be compatible with AmateurLogic.TV in analog FM mode. Other features include large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display, easy digital mode settings, supplied high-performance GPS antenna, full D-Star functions for DV and DD mode, and an SD card slot. Aim higher and enter the world of SHF. The Icom IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various receiver stages, reducing the generated inherent noise in different IF stages. This is the radio that changed the way entry-level HF is designed. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. The real HF fun starts here. Create your own band opening with the IC9700. This radio brings direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. The IC9700 is an all-mode transceiver loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy. Expect top performance on field day with Icom's IC9700. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR can pick out faint signals in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The Icom 7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that's changed the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receiver, and dual digicell. For more information about all the great Icom radios, visit icomamerica.com/amateur. Well, you know, it is field day season here, and it's also Friedrichshafen. And I'm probably not saying that right. But it's that season too. But there is one more season that you guys probably didn't even know, because hunting this time of year is not, you think it's not really hunting season. However, zucchini season is open now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of what they're good for, too, is shooting them.
Yeah.
I can't eat that stuff, man.
Where'd you get that longer shotgun from, Tommy?
That's not me.
It
Although
looks
it
like
does kind of look similar.
Yeah.
I don't own any camouflage anymore.
Mark Mallow sent that to me in an email.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does look a lot like you.
He got a nice skill there.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't right, man. You don't own any camouflage, Tommy, or you can't find them?
Now, actually, I got some back from when I used to hunt it, but that's all. I don't have any, I just wear.
He needs to strap those on the hood of his truck and drive around town.
Yeah. All right,
That's
email.
cool. That's some big zucchinis, too.
I don't know. It's not an email. What is it you have tonight for us?
Actually, it is an email to email.
All right.
From our a viewer, Bill, over in Circleville, Ohio, W8LV, sent us his cheap old mobile setup that he put up in his car. And what I found was most impressive about this setup here was his official cup holder with his spectrally clean radio, he claims, that he had checked by the ARRL. But, that cup holder speaks volumes to me as far as the radio goes and the setup. So he holds quite a bit of license, Grohl, and radar operators and several other things. But this is his cheap old man compliant mobile setup. So,
well, now, does that meet that rating for waterproof?
I don't think so. I'm hoping there's nothing in that cup.
Okay.
Well, maybe if there is something in the cup, it might do it some good.
True.
I don't know about volume, but it can't hold more than 14 ounces by the looks of it.
Yeah.
So thanks, Bill.
I didn't actually work field day this year. I had all intentions of doing it. The antenna arrived actually just a couple of days prior to the Saturday where field day was on. But I don't know, I just didn't have the time. So anyway, I needed to get that antenna set up and test it out. But there's a couple of things, and we'll talk about it in the video, that I wasn't too happy with.
JPC-12, a portable 40 to 6 meter vertical with improved radials. While the annual ARRL Field Day may be thought of as a contest, the main objective is emergency preparedness. We practice by setting up antennas and our radio equipment in areas typically where installations aren't. While I didn't participate this year, I did purchase this take-apart portable vertical antenna just before Field Day. It's a JPC-12. You can find this antenna available from several different online resellers. One of the more popular online resellers is Intelligence, based out of China. I had stopped at their booth this year at Hamfest as I had the JPC-12 on my shopping list, but sadly they didn't have any for sale. I later discovered that DX Engineering carries the JPC-12 and is in their catalog. The JPC-12 is a 40 to 6 meter, 100 watt portable vertical antenna. It comes complete, requires no guy supports, and packs up in this really nice 14.5 by 9 inch nylon zippered case and weighs just 3.8 pounds. The assembled height is 13 feet. The kit contains everything you need except for the feed line to your transceiver. The antenna accepts a 50 ohm unbalanced coaxial cable with a PL259 connector. The quality of this portable antenna is very good. The components appear to be well made and sturdy, made from stainless steel and aluminum. The only negative comment that I have for the JPC-12 are the supplied counterpoise radials. These are made up from a length of ribbon cable that you are supposed to separate into 3 or more segments. Okay, I have to complain about the poor instruction manual too, but we'll save that one for another time. One of the other issues that I had with the supplied counterpoise cable is that the vinyl insulation has a terrible memory effect, meaning it likes to retain the shape that is stored in. I decided to improve on that by constructing my own. To solve this issue, I ordered a spool of number 20 gauge, silicone covered stranded copper wire. Its high strand count and silicone insulation makes it very flexible. Ideally, counterpoises should be approximately 1/4 wavelength of the operating frequency, but the rule of thumb is the longer the better. But wait just a darn minute, Jim. The more ground radials the better, so bearing this in mind, I will be dividing my 250-foot spool of wire into 8 31.25-foot lengths. To help these stay tethered, I found these aluminum pegs at the dollar store. But before the cheap old man gets too excited, I think we need to mention that a package of 4 pegs costs $3. I was concerned about those radials becoming a trip hazard after they get staked down, so 3D printer to the rescue. I made these clips which I designed so that they would detach with the slightest force if someone should accidentally trip over them. Also, I chose a high visibility orange color for the wire so that it will contrast well with the ground. For the attachments, one end of each will loop through the clip. You can either knot the ends, or I finish the clip ends by covering the end with heat shrink tubing. Use heat shrink tubing with the glue, or put a dab of crazy glue to keep the wires from slipping out of the clips. Note, this end need not make contact with the aluminum peg, as it is simply used to keep the wire from blowing around in the wind. Took 4 of the wires at the other end, stripped them, crimped, and soldered to a 3/8 inch stud ring terminal connector. I did the same thing for the other 4 wires, and I also applied heat shrink tubing for a more secure connection to the ring terminals. Note, the ring terminal slips over the ground spike base of the JPC-12. We do want to ensure good electrical contact between our counterpoise wires, ring terminal, and the antenna spike base. Okay, let's deploy the antenna. Following the steps in the manual, we thread the various sections together. You may want to print out this slide for reference. Mike V3MIC here. I'm going to try to get a video of this
New antenna I picked up for field day. We're going to set up my JPC-12 portable HF antenna, a vertical. It covers 40 meters to 6 meters, and we're going to set it up and see how that goes. And I'll also have my my modified ground radial system. We're going to see how that works out. Okay, you can see the orange ground radials that I prepared in the aluminum tent pegs. We're going to assemble the antenna and set up the ground radials, but first I'll stop and show you how that all looks put together. Okay, I've pounded the ground spike in. You can see it there on the top right corner there with just the threaded part sticking out. Of course, the orange wires are my 3 sets of ground radials. 2 of them are actually 3 ground radials, and the third one is actually just 2 for a total of 8. So basically, the ground radials are on a 3/8 inch stud ring terminal. And you just slip the ring terminals over top of that top ground spike stud. And now we're going to assemble the rest of the antenna. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Basically, that's the base or the feed point of the antenna. You can see there's a little protective cap over that SO39. It just threads directly onto that base spike mount. Okay, it's all assembled except for laying out those ground radials. We'll get to that in a minute. In the center there you can see the loading coil. And on this particular setting, that's the slide tuning, and you can see those 2 little red or reddish lines there, and it's currently set for 20 meters. If I swing it all the way down to the bottom, that's the setting for 40 meter band. And we'll look all the way up. There's about, it goes quite a ways, 13 feet I believe. And so let's get the ground radial set up. Okay, I'm not sure how well this is going to turn out. It's kind of an overcast day. In fact, it's been trying to rain. It just downpoured earlier in the day here, so I'm surprised I'm not walking around in puddles. But fortunate for me, it seems to be relatively dry. As a bonus, I didn't really need to use that mallet to pound the pegs in because the ground's so soft right now, they just push right in. Here's all the 8 radials, and they're all staked out into various directions and anchored with a peg. And I'll follow one here and show you up close what it looks like. Just that aluminum 10 peg and my little 3D printed clip. Doesn't take much force to let it go, which is what it's exactly supposed to do. Should anybody trip over them, it'll just release, hopefully not destroying the wire. And it just, let's see if I can get that in focus here. Just clips right on. And that's basically it. I think it's going to work or perform a lot better with those radials, and having those little clips and pegs keeps them anchored to the ground, stops them from blowing around in the wind. It is kind of breezy today. The grass is kind of long, so it'll keep the wires in place without the pegs, but it's a pretty nifty setup, I think. And if it wasn't raining or trying to rain, I'd pull the radio out and see if we could get any contacts. But I think that's going to be it for now. So anyway, that's the JPC-12. And again, it's a center load quarter wave.
The upper part is a stainless steel telescoping whip, and the bottom thicker black parts you see there are just screwed together. I guess you could call it part of the antenna, but I like to refer to them as a mast. There's the base with the SO239 that you attach your 50 ohm feed line to, or coax. And that's about it for now. Should be interesting to try this out. I think it's going to perform just fine. And it takes nothing to set up. I'm going to say the total time it took me to set up the ground radials, I'd say 20 minutes, and part of that, I'd say half that time was unwinding them and laying them out. Once you get them unwound and laid out, it's just really a snap to, literally, no pun intended, to connect them to the tent pegs. Anyway, that's it for now. That's the turning sideways here. JPC 12.
Have you operated on it yet?
I have not. Actually, that was the first time setting the antenna up. It's been sitting in this little case for weeks now, and I haven't really used it. But
do you hook antenna analyzer up to it or anything when it was up?
I've not even swept it to see what the resonance points are. I'm not too worried about it because my little X6100, which is probably going to be used the most with that antenna, it'll handle 100 watts. So any of the radios that I have, it'll handle that amount of power. But the little X6100 has a built-in antenna tuner, so not too worried about it. According to the spec sheet, and I guess now's a good time as any. I made a negative. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, let me ask a question before you go all negative on us. That counterpoise, ribbon cable counterpoise. Well, I didn't catch that part. Yes. I mean, do you just stretch it out as one piece and that's it, or are you supposed to split them apart?
Well, according to the instructions, you tear them apart, and they say 3 is probably all you need. It's a 10 conductor ribbon cable, so I guess you can do, pairs of well, you could do 3 and 3 and have one left over. But like I said, the thing about the vinyl insulation on ribbon cable, it doesn't straighten out very easily unless you lay it out in the hot sun. So I just thought they could have done a better job there. But anyway, it is what it is, and it wasn't really that expensive to make up that better ground radial system. On to my rant about the and this goes for a lot of the Chinese manufacturers. It's like they make a good product, but where they always seem to come up short is on the instructions. And I mean, I saw that word shrapnel in big red letters, and I ducked because it sounded dangerous. But I don't know for the life of me why they can't take the extra time and just do a better job at translation for the instructions. If you refer back to that, if you look at that video again, the part of the video I said you might want to print this slide out. What I've done is I've kind of did my own translation of what those instructions are actually trying to say. They literally talk in circles. It says 7 megahertz in 4 circles. Well, 4 circles means four turns on the coil.
Oh.
So there's stuff like that. On the side close to the Rob antenna, pull Rob or rod extracts about 20 centimeters. That's okay. But there's other things that leave you questioning what the heck are they actually saying. So anyway, I wish they would do a better job on the instructions, on the documentation. It would save a lot of frustration and probably improve on their sales as well.
That reminds me of the old Sony manual I had. I went to a video tape recorder school when I was working in television, and they gave us a manual and a tweaker, and I don't know, seemed like it was 2 or 3 days long, and we went through all the procedures on how to work on this particular videotape machine. The instruction manual in there says use a frat braid screwdriver to adjust, a certain adjustment in there, using not so much pressure.
Right. Yeah, I understand some things get lost in translation, but it doesn't look like much of an effort was put into the translation of this 4-page instruction sheet that came with the product.
Maybe that was a shrapnel contact.
Maybe.
If you use more than 100 watts, there'll be shrapnel.
Yes, there will be.
Well, it'd be interesting to hear how it actually performs when you get to using it. I bet it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure it works. Like I said, the antenna itself looks to be really, really good quality. The aluminum sections are all very good quality. The machining on the end pieces there with the threaded inserts are good quality. The telescoping whip, although you have to be careful with any type of telescoping whip, not to put a kink in it when you're collapsing it.
Don't do like me and drop it when you're trying to take it down.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to drop them especially when they're extended. But other than that, it's all very good quality. So like I said, the only shortcoming is they could have did a better job with the ground counterpoise radials and the instructions. So that all being said is pretty minimal complaining about it.
Gentlemen, raise your glasses if you're participating in the game, because we have some more gratuitous drone footage.
And the last of it. This is just kind of doing a little flyby to show the site where we're set up. We got plenty of room out there for antennas, and be sure to watch for the power line there.
That's a 60 cycle phased array, single phase array.
That's what that is. Yeah. Well, you don't want to fly into it, and you don't want to put your antenna up against it either. So anyway, we're going to take a little close-up tour of the off-center fed here. Bird's eye view. So anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting to see the whole thing from up there.
So, did you have any footage of the bird attack?
No. A bird, I did fly by one time. I went across it. A bird was on the sitting on the wire, and he got out. I guess the drone scared him, and he jumped off of it, and the wire came up and slapped my drone, but it didn't hurt it. And this is the vertical we had set up.
You might
on
recognize
a tripod. Yeah. But I don't think you said you didn't use it at all, right?
No, I tried it on 20 meters, and then I switched over to another 20-meter antenna, and it was so much better I didn't go back to it.
Then here's the cobweb. I stayed on the cobweb most of the time. I think we swapped up a little bit.
We did a little bit.
But I used it primarily. I really like that thing. It works very well. For being no bigger than it is, it's really performs good.
Well, it'll be about a foot shorter next year.
Yeah. But that's all. So I hope you took a good drink that time, because that's the end of the...
By all that footage, everything's green and lush, and you must have been receiving a lot of rain up there, or down there rather, too.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Yeah, we have. But it's been green for months, though. Everything has.
Yeah.
Real green, but the grass is growing exceptionally fast right now because of all the rain we've been getting.
I got 2 bales off the front yard this week.
I don't doubt that. I'll get some tomorrow when I get out after mine.
Tommy, what are you running this year, as if anybody couldn't guess?
Well, I'm running the usual. I've got my 705. Actually, right now I'm running digital mode. I'm using the off-center fed that you made with the lamp cord. It's actually working pretty well for the most part. Like I got my AH705 tuner here in line, and we're using the filters that we've shown before. Mostly the same system I had last year. I'm running FT8 right now. I wasn't going to do it, but yesterday you kept mentioning it, so I decided to go ahead and give it a try. So I got the updates and got it all set up for field day. It's kind of like shooting fish in the barrel, but I mean, it's working. You get double points for it apparently. I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about the hardware, I am using my Blue 80 power bank that I bought. I did the segment on last month. It's at 72%, and I've been using it pretty well, I guess, ever since we got here.
Yep.
And so it's going to hold up for the entire field day with this little radio and everything anyway. So it's working out pretty well, and I haven't noticed any noise coming from it, any kind of trash in the receive on the radio. For my audio, I've been actually using, I kind of forgot I had this thing. This is the little Icom VS3 Bluetooth module. I got it for my 5100 so I could use it hands-free when I was driving. Well, mostly hands-free, still takes one finger. But it also pairs well with my 705, so I decided to give it a try this year, and this actually worked out pretty good. I just pin it to my shirt, put the earbuds in, tap the push to talk there. When I'm ready to talk, I can get around work contacts from across the room. Still have to come over here and put them in the N1MM logger software that we're using. And I got mixed feelings about that one. It seems to work pretty good, but the setup's a little kind of weird on it to me, but works out pretty well. It's kind of nice because everybody's got their own copy of the data, so they sync, but when I go home later, I can load up and see everything too, just like you. So there's not just one copy of the data. We obviously in some new digs this time, which has been really nice. I think I've had the first field day shower. Actually, I know this is the first field day shower I've actually ever had, and I'm trying to catch up. So I took two, just for good measure, because I can. So I don't know. It's the small things that you really learn to appreciate.
How has that helped your score?
Has actually helped my score pretty well, apparently, because we got more points than we've ever had this year. Well, best I remember. I think this is more. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it probably helps some. I've worked a good many this morning, early in the morning, so that's unlike me.
Well, early in the morning is unlike you.
Our score this year, 718.
Yeah, that's pretty good for us.
Yeah.
That's probably a little bit embarrassing compared to some of those other teams.
Yeah.
But for us, the two guys, and we were so late getting the antennas up.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I'll take that.
Yeah, and that's not 718 contacts. That's 718 points.
Points.
With the multipliers and everything. That sounds better.
Yeah.
Actual contacts. Should we reveal that information?
I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a good time. That's all that really counts.
That's right. That's right. Literally, it's not a contest.
Digital contacts are two times multiplier, aren't they?
Yeah.
We had 134 phone and 25 digital. So, yeah, if you hadn't had those 25 digital, we would have.
Yeah, that's not a lot of contacts, but like I said, we were pretty late getting started.
For us, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And we're always late getting started. So.
Yeah, we had trouble with the getting the antenna up, the first one over the tree with the
next
slingshot.
year, though.
You only saw two of the slingshot attempts, but there were at least two or three more. That weren't captured on camera.
We're about to run out of lead.
Yeah, we lost one fishing weight up there. Oh, and I was going to mention my battery, my Blue Eddy little solar or little power bank thing, it worked out pretty well. I didn't have any trash on my radio from it. I didn't know if it was going to cause a problem because it's got that inductive charging pad on the top where you can sit your cell phone on and the DC's on it, but I didn't notice any problems whatsoever with it.
I didn't either.
So it worked out okay, and it worked the whole time. I still had almost half of the capacity of it left when I finished.
And your other battery worked out well, too.
Yeah.
I don't know how much capacity you had left on it.
I had about 40% left on it when I got home.
So I sucked out 60% of the power, and that 7,000 runs hot.
Yeah,
it generates a lot of heat.
You use it a lot. I'm pretty happy with that battery. I honestly didn't think it would last through a whole field day when I made it. I was kind of concerned about that, but
it lasted through the whole thing with a 100-watt rig.
So Emil's 100-amp one probably lasted great, too.
Yep. It did not stop both days, as a matter of fact. It's and I was running mainly 80 watts the whole time on that station, so.
Yeah.
Tommy, I believe you have an email is this an actual email?
It's a real email. It's not an email, it's an email. We got an email. We got an actual email here, too. But he's not on paper here.
So it's like Christmas in July?
Kinda. Yep, it is, actually. We had a little sneak peek of that earlier. It says, this is from my friend Dave, KB1YGP. It says, believe it or not, I was catching up on some very old issues of AmateurLogic.TV today. I was watching episode 163, the Christmas 2021 episode. I noticed you were sampling the Canadian meat pie from Dakin Farm in Vermont. I live in Vermont, about 20 miles away from their store. They're a local business that does all their production and shipping out of Ferrisburg, Vermont. Dakin Farms is a great local business. It's grown over the years. As you notice in their catalog, they have a lot of great products, including Vermont's own Cabot cheese, locally Cobb smoked bacon, which I've never heard of that. Ham and many other items such as Canadian meat pies, barbecue ribs, and others. It's making me hungry. I watch all your shows, or at least I'm attempting to watch all of them, and good luck with that. And I always find it enjoyable and educational. If you ever travel to the northern border of Vermont, be sure to stop and see some of the local sugar makers. Don't miss stopping in at the Dakin Farm store in Ferrisburg, Dave. Yeah, and appreciate that, Dave. And the email. I also had some other conversation with him. He said to holler at him sometime if I was up in that area. I want to get up there one year for the fall color.
Yeah.
So. Speaking of Canadian, do you know what day it is?
Is it Canada Day?
Almost. It's what got me through college. Take a guess.
Student Debt Reduction Act?
Who said beer? No, it's not beer, although you'd think it being a Canadian, it would be beer.
Hey.
It's
Invisible Chip Day.
It's National Macaroni and Cheese Day.
Okay.
And the reason why I brought that up is apparently, although we don't have too many records, but apparently, according to the source I read, Canada is the top country for consumption of macaroni and cheese in the world.
Wow. I would not have.
I would, when I was a young single guy first getting started, I would have given Canada a run for their money because at the time that stuff was like 4 boxes for $1. And that's about all I could afford. I had it in my cabinet, man. Fix a box of mac and cheese.
So it goes good with beer, is that?
Well, I don't know.
Well, it's fine with beer, trust me, because at that time, I would buy a case of beer and 8 boxes of mac and cheese, and that was pretty much my grocery shopping for the week.
Some people like it with ketchup on it. I don't. I think it ruins it. But anyway, it got me through college. I'll say that much.
We got one more little piece of video from W5AXC this year, and that, in case you're wondering, that's the Southern Amateur Radio Experimenters Club, which Tommy and I, Wayne, Jeff, W5PPB, Emil, and Mike from South Canada.
South Canada. So you qualified, Mike, South Canada.
Yep. Anyway, that's W5AXC. We did actually get on the air and make contacts. I have actual real proof here.
Yeah.
Whiskey 5 Alpha X-Ray Charlie. Whiskey 5 Alpha X-Ray Charlie. QSL, please copy 2 Alpha Mississippi. QSL. Guy sounds just like Emil, but he's not.
Was he squeaking? Was he squeaking? Like cheek?
No. North Carolina.
Yeah, I've been hearing some of those. Whiskey 5 Alpha X-Ray Charlie. A lot of whiskey. Whiskey 5 Alpha X-Ray Charlie. Whiskey 5 Alpha X-Ray Charlie. QSL? QSL, 2 Alpha, Mike Sierra, 2 Alpha Mississippi, QSL? Philadelphia.
And like I said, we were at a bar.
Yeah, we were.
What's up next? Email. You have some evidence that you operated field day this year as well.
I do have some evidence.
And
You want to roll them. So as the sign says here, the Ozone Amateur Radio Emergency Communications Center since 1964, or Whiskey 5 Sierra Lima Alpha, operated this year. We had quite a few stations out there in the field. Glenn and I and many hams. I see Matt there, and we are all building our stations in the early morning, usually start around 9 a.m., put up some of the tents, unload the vehicles, and shooting antennas all over the place, just like you guys were doing.
So who's operating on that tower in the background?
The police, that's the local police. We did not use that tower.
Okay.
Who did the fishing pole? Who casted the line over?
Well, we had the you can see it laying on the ground there below Matt's feet towards the right.
Cannon.
Yeah, the original cheap old man gun still working.
Nice.
Cheap old son of a
looks
gun.
looks like a poor knockoff of the Tommy gun.
Yeah, like Jimmy used to say, PVC's a ham's best friend.
Yep.
It's still kicking, man. There's the setup with all the ham bands, the battery there, Tommy, which lasted literally for 2 days. That thing's a trooper. And I had some Icom MERS stations, MERS walkie-talkies that we were talking back and forth with each other, as well as a broadcast receiver and a shortwave receiver and a GMRS. Our club operates a GMRS repeater on a water tower, so that was that little radio handy talkie to the right. So we had all bands going, man. And this is Matt's station here, total with solar and his own fan. We learned quite a few things from Matt as far as safety goes with the cones he has set out and the ribbons he puts on some of the ropes, because we had quite a tangled mess of some ropes everywhere. So Matt always has some pretty good ideas, and we all learn from him, and that's why we do this together.
So, was he the safety officer?
No, actually Glenn was the safety officer, but he definitely took care of his station and taught us a few things. And there's some stations set up under the tree over there. I think that was another station where Nick and Mike picked a good spot, a shady spot under the tree. And he had quite a few pretty nice pieces of equipment and also some good ideas that I learned from. I think I'm going to be buying some of the equipment that I saw him had. He had a set of Heil headphones. And this is the educational. So after we're finished setting up, we have about an hour usually before we start operating. And this is the educational activity. Speaking of points, George.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
you
is
can
the
bet
vi-
there's going to be a propeller on that ball cap when I get through with it.
There you go, Mike. Prime material. So Glenn and I held a presentation here, and Glenn is, you can see by that back exit door to the right, filming this. We actually do have video of the presentation, and there's 2 presentations, so I'll probably put that out somewhere, but we didn't have time. Plus, I was the slacker of the month this month, so I didn't want to fill it up. But quite a good showing here. Right after this, we also had a little bit of a potluck. So after that, we went out to the field and started operating, and there was quite a few new hams who had never operated HF. So under our supervision and control operator, we allowed people to operate. And I can tell you right now that this person here sitting next to me is absolutely hooked on HF. I don't know if you've ever experienced somebody hearing that and getting hooked for the first time, but he is totally hooked now.
Yeah, first time I heard sideband, I'm thinking, why would anybody want to operate on HF? Well, yeah, I got over that.
Yep. And one of the training items, speaking of the N1MM in the logger there, Tommy, we basically told some of the people how we wanted the logs to be handed to us. We used paper most of the time because of just doing it manual, teaching them how to do it, and that I find that works out good, especially for the new hands coming in. And then the next year, inevitably, like Nick and Mike under that tree, they all have their own automated setup, so it's kind of a progression. So we take care of the new hams on paper when they come in and teach them how to log.
I want to know how you got that TV to levitate like that.
Yeah.
It's special. It's magnetic. And there's just a view of the station there. The tuner actually goes out in the field under the antenna, but I think we were taking some pictures here. And this was teaching. So the club also operates a digipeater, AX.25 packet radio still. It's up at 630 feet, and there's quite a few services from Baton Rouge all the way to the Gulf Coast in Mississippi that can hit this thing. So, and we relay quite a few things along the coast, and there's services out there like WinLink gateways, BBSs, all the 80s, the 80s mailboxes, BBSs at 1200 baud packet. So we were showing some people how we do that. There's a FT897D and a Kenwood right there that we had hooked up in the back room.
Yeah, I've actually heard that digipeater from here before.
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
At night.
It's got some range.
Yep.
Yeah, more of the same here. We're just showing Larry there, KG5EXB from St. Bernard Parish, how to log into the local bulletin board services and leave messages.
No teeth marks on your bill of your cap.
No teeth marks on that one yet. The guy to my right, he was the one that was hooked. When we came inside out of the heat for a bit, he was on that Icom Pro 3 on the end that we use on our beam, the club's beam, and 20 meters was pretty hopping on that beam, man. Once he is so hooked on HF from this event, he never stopped, and he filled up an entire page by himself.
Wow.
Gosh.
He's me about 30 years ago when I was working at field day. I wasn't licensed at the time. I worked the whole 24 hours field day, and I think I slept for 14 hours after that.
Yep. Yeah, wow. Man. You can always tell when there's that one new person who gets hooked on HF during these field days, and that's what we like to see and help them out.
We've never had that happen, have we?
What's that?
Had a new person at field day.
No. So it's been old people at our field day.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, looks like y'all had a good time down there as well, Emil.
Yeah, and shout out to Glenn for doing the filming and, of course, being the safety officer. And also a shout out, those pictures came from Scott, KD5 PCK. Scott Hernandez from our club. So thank you, Scott, for capturing the moments. We were in the moment, busy, and I didn't get too many pictures, but Scott hooked us up.
Yeah, it looked like you had a really nice setup. Some nice gear there, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. That is our field day coverage for 2023. And as I promised earlier, we've got some Hamfest footage from one of the best Hamfest in the world. I'm not sure they call them Hamfest over there. I think
Rallies, I think.
They're rallies in England. I don't know about Germany, what they call it there.
I don't know.
But,
Terry's in the chat room.
yeah.
Maybe he'll tell us.
Our good friend Terry Bone, 2E0IPK, sent this video over that he shot while he was there this year. And I have not seen it yet, so let's take a look at it.
I'm Terry, 2E0IPK. Excuse the shirt, it's not the only shirt I own because that was in another video, but I do generally wash and wear them again eventually. And this is one of the coolest ones I've got because today has been extremely hot, very hot over here. And the trains coming to Stuttgart, where I am now, were just horrendously hot. Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going down to Friedrichshafen on Friday to attend the ham radio show on Saturday. So for you, it's instantaneous, but for me, it's a couple of days yet. But anyway, see you there. Well, there you go, made it. Bit warm and sunny outside, so we're going to go in there as quickly as possible and take a look around. So see you in there. Okay, Emil, take your headphones off, cover your ears, because the price of this little beauty is 13,000 euros, $14,000 I think that works out to, and 12,000 pounds, so a lot of money. To be honest with you, I think I prefer an Icom 7610 myself, but there you go. Loads of money. That is quality, that. Well, these lights don't do the camera much good.
No, they wouldn't do this.
ICT-10. Nice little radio to put in your bag, that. Very nice little radio. I was quite surprised how small it is. But that is lovely. That'd fit in my bag lovely when I go out. ARRL get everywhere. They go all over, they travel all over, and that's really good. Good luck to them. Now for AmateurLogic. Now AmateurLogic, there he is. They're always here. If you get a chance to come to Germany, this is Heidelberg, and look at that view. It's a lovely view. It took a lot to get up here. They've got about 3 or 4 funiculars that you have to go up, but you end up with that. What more could you ask for? Look at that. Oh dear. Getting afraid of heights here.
Yeah, it's the same guy, isn't it? Yeah. So I said, I thought it would be.
Well, I hope you liked it anyway, but I did what I could. You know, I mean, my partner can't walk very well, so I had to look after her, you know, keep stopping and letting her sit down, and she, you know, getting thirsty. And my number one priority was my partner. It wasn't me. You know, videoing is just secondary. I had to make sure she was okay. And I mean, fortunately she was, but it was really hard graft for her. Really hard graft, and I think she did well, but there you go. Anyway, catch you all later, and I hope you enjoyed what I did get. So 73 to all.
Thanks, Terry.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, thanks, Terry.
See.
That was,
Awesome.
I mean, with all the self-deprecating there, that was actually really good. Thanks for doing that for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What a
really
view from
appreciate
that
you taking the
mountaintop,
time.
man.
Y'all doubled.
Oh, go ahead, Emil.
I was saying, what a view from that mountaintop. I'm sure it was a lot of work getting there, but wow, that had to be worth it. Just from the pictures, it looked awesome.
Yeah.
Germany's beautiful. What little bit I've seen of it, I'd like to go back there sometime. Spend some more time.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you taking the time to do that, Terry. It's really nice to see.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'll ever make it over there, but looks like certainly a good radio show. That's the correct name.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it one of these days. Got a few more years. I'm gonna retire, then maybe I'll be able to make it then.
Yeah.
Peter and I were supposed to go. Peter made it. I didn't make it.
Yeah.
It's just a logistical nightmare for me because I think you had to take a couple of planes, a train,
A boat.
Automobile.
and I'm not sure what else. So it was just too hairy to make sure that you got there for an event that only lasted. And incidentally, I looked it up. It's the 46th International Amateur Radio Exposition.
46th.
Yes,
Wow.
it's an amateur radio exposition.
Okay.
What it's called.
It looks nice. It kind of makes me think of Huntsville a little bit.
Yeah, all indoors like that.
Yeah.
Everything's really neat and clean.
Which will be coming up in about a month.
Yep. Emil, are we going to see you there this year?
Huntsville, I'm planning on it.
Okay.
Yep, I'm planning on going too.
I know that Chip is going to be there. Wayne will probably be there.
He usually goes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if Vince didn't show up too. Never know.
Never know.
But I know I'll be there for sure. Unless
Yeah.
something bad happens between now and then, it's my plan to be there.
All right. I think we are to the bottom of the list here. Oh, no. I'm at the bottom of the list. It's not an email, but it is a post. You may have heard about this. You may not have it. Just posted it on the ARRL website. This has been going on for a little while, but we're just now hearing about it. The ad hoc group Shortwave Modernization Coalition petitioned the FCC to allow data communications on multiple bands within the HF 2 to 25 megahertz range with up to 20 kilowatts, including N bands immediately adjacent to spectrum allocated to amateur radio. The group appears to represent high-speed stock trading interest. The FCC has assigned it RM-11953. Comments are due by July 31st, 2023. So you need to go
Got 2 weeks.
look at it and do your reply. Comments are going to be due August the 15th. While the petitioners exclude the amateur bands, high-power operations on immediately adjacent bands are proposed. So, yeah. You want to look that up. It's RM11953. Go check that out.
Wireless power meters all over again.
Yeah, except this is going to be stock traders, and I'm sure they have the money to probably correctly line the correct
Pockets.
containers to get this passed. Yes. So yeah, I don't know why in the world they need to operate between 2 and 25 megahertz. We're talking about milliseconds. That's what they're saying. That's why they want to use it, because they can do high-speed trading milliseconds. Probably faster than they can do
I
on
don't
the internet.
understand. Like, radio is still only the speed of light.
Yeah.
So are fiber networks. So I'm not sure what the gain is there, and especially with the nature of HF propagation being what it is, it's not consistent. So I'm surprised that they'd even want to go down that road.
Well, that's probably why they want 2 to 25 megahertz, so they can find
ALC.
whatever. Yeah. Whatever's best at the time. But I'm not in favor of that. I don't know that it's going to cause us harm, but
ALE.
yeah,
Yeah.
Certainly not going to help us.
Yeah, and it's not going to modernize HF by any means, in my opinion. It's just going to be more people making money off of something.
It's all about the money, man. Just like the open source hardware projects. All that stuff gets boiled down. Somebody's going to end up making some money off of that. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay for making some money, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Might be some HF jobs opening, huh? Commercial.
Yeah, I don't think there were going to be many stations set up to do this, but it only takes one.
Is there anything, I read a little bit about it, but I didn't see anything about that goes into any particulars about what type of range they're looking at for coverage.
I think they're trying to go from east to west coast. So it's not just going to, affect the United States here. It's going to affect y'all up there too. And, probably most places in this region of the globe. I'm sure they'll use some kind of arrays, but still, talking about HF, so you don't necessarily control exactly where the signal ends up.
That's for sure.
Hopefully it's clean.
Yeah. 20 kilowatts. that could be a problem. But then you think about it. You tune to about the top of any HF band as a shortwave station sitting right there that's probably running 100. So I don't know if it's going to be an issue for us or not, but still, I'm not for shortwave going to the money, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my rant there, Mike. You had one, so I figured I needed one too. And with that, I think we have a complete show here, a field day and Friedrichshafen episode, and Mike's invisible hand tricks there. I don't know what you held up there,
I was going to say, and remember, note shrapnel contacts only contact the marked coil. Do not contact the adjacent coil.
But how many circles is that?
It doesn't say.
Okay. Well, before we get out of here, any final thoughts tonight, Tommy?
No thoughts whatsoever.
No thoughts.
Turn the air conditioner on. That's all I can think.
That's pretty important
It's
thought
pretty
right
toasty
there.
in here.
Yeah. The next, Ham College, I don't know, maybe the 28th, July the 28th.
Yeah, sure.
That's when it should be. So y'all join in there, join Professor Thomas and Dean Martin. Dino's just coming back from his European tour, so you'll want to catch the act.
You know, it's funny. I saw several places with Dean Martin signs in them over there.
Really? You should have got one.
I should have took a picture of myself beside it.
There you go, man. You should have. Golden opportunity gone like that.
Just like that.
Emil, any final thoughts down there tonight?
So no, just keep it cheap. Here we go. I'll do it manually.
Old school.
Yeah. Old school right cheap. There.
Yep. Mike, any thoughts from up there? It looks mighty nice and breezy and sunshiny.
It actually has been nice up here, summer-wise. I mean, we were kind of in a drought situation for a few weeks. I think I went almost 3 weeks without having to mow the lawn, and then of course we got all that rain, and I had to cut it. Probably it could have used it twice within 1 week. But other than that, it's been pretty nice outside. Although for me anyway, with my work, this is the busy time of the year for me. So unfortunately, I don't get to take advantage of that nice weather a lot.
Tuesday night is going to be a little fun, isn't
Oh,
it?
yes, you're right. It's going to be the Logic Net.
Mike and myself are going to be calling the net this time.
So you have the actual details.
Be the usual times, 8 Central or 0100 UTC Tuesday night, and the usual connections. Hey, that looks like my shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
That does
pretty
look
close.
like your shirt. Yeah. There's all the places you can check in on the net. A lot of different options, any mode you want, or pick a dozen.
So
the only thing in question there, I'm not sure about those Ham Shack hotlines.
No.
Actually, I think they may not be functional anymore. So if you find one that doesn't work, send me an email or Tom an email, somebody, and let us know. We'll make sure we get it off the thing for the next.
7-3.
7-3, everybody.
7-3.
7-3. Actually, it is an email to email
All right.
from our from a viewer, Bill, over in Circleville, Ohio, W8LV or W8LV VE3. He operates from Canada too sometimes. But anyway, he what is that you have up, George?
Wrong picture.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, Emil.
That's not me.
For my
Well, let me
Oh,